Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and have I ever told you that you just have a glow about you? It's really soothing. Is it your skincare routine? I just wash my face with water at night. Works great though. But I'm here today with the PreSonus Revelator io24. It's an interface at its heart, but it's made with streaming in mind. So we have two ends. We have MIDI, we have two main outs, so you can plug in two different monitors if you want to, and a single headphone out. And the front, you might notice it doesn't have a ton of controls from the looks of it, but you can actually control each input gain with those little buttons and this knob. You can press through that knob for different options, and you're going to have up to 2 presets. You can even turn off monitoring. So a lot of control. Very smartly done as a big space saver, I think. And it's pretty sleek looking, feels robust, aluminum enclosure of some kind. And it's bus powered. So you just need to plug it into the back of your computer and it powers itself. Most of the controls of this are in the software. So I'm going to set this bad boy up. I'm going to plug in a microphone and a synthesizer. And I'm going to show you how I use this in live streams. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I know I wasn't gone for too long, but I'm glad you stuck around. So the first thing I really want to show you with the Revelator is the software, because I think that's the thing we should probably just go ahead and talk about. It's the heart of it. All of the software happens in the box. All the processing is happening in the physical interface, because live streaming takes up a lot of resources and you don't need that. You really don't. But let's take a look. Let's start at the top here and kind of talk about everything. So these are effects that are tied to my vocal channel right here. And I have that plugged in directly through input 1. And I've named it vocals. But we have some filtery stuff and we have some presets. But let's start with, this is the preset I've made for me. It's how I like the sound to be. I have a high pass filter at 80, a moderate gate, high compression, but there are different compression types. You can have a moderate compression. You can have compression for vocals, for singing. That feels very natural to me. I actually might keep that for a bit. EQ, you can have broadcast, female vocals, band pass, which you just heard by accident. I'm going to stick with broadcast, and you have a limiter. I'm using a high limiter here. I think it's limiting to -3, if I remember correctly. And then you have an optional effect that you can set up with a hotkey and just echo. Kind of a fun one. There are other effects I'm going to show you in a minute, but there are different presets here. So you already heard the telephone one. This is one of the first presets. It's broadcast. Then we have vocal preset. This one's for an acoustic guitar. You can hear how different this is. This has no gate because you don't want the guitar to just kind of like die out. Electric guitar. Vintage channel, which I quite like. I like the vintage EQ as well as the broadcast EQ. The slap echo.
These vocals. I'm sure this is really fun for gamers. God bless gamers.
And then robot, and I think that's probably the vocoder. But yeah, here's mine. And we can go to the vintage EQ. If I decide that's what I want my sound to be like all the time now, I just go to save preset. And I'll call this, and I highlight the preset I want, Emily Vintage. And you hit store. And now I go to telephone, and I'm going back up to vintage, and all my settings are the same. It worked. So I have my vocals here, and I have kind of a jerry-rigged synth situation over here. So you can see the synth. And if I go back here, you can see it move. So what if I want to change some of the settings on that? Here, well, that's very, very possible. I can turn the gain up as well on that. but I don't want to turn it back down. You can do that on the interface itself as well. You also have your 48, your phantom power if you need it. If I click on this, right now it's set to electric guitar. Whoa, let's actually change the preset to electric guitar. So low gate, moderate gate. Yeah. There's a weird little artifact happening. I think that's because of my cabling. Please don't judge the software for that. It has nothing to do with it. Yeah, so that is those two channels that you plug into the front, you have more control over. The rest, I'm just going to delete the titles here so you can see exactly what they're always called. We have a few different virtual, that is sound coming from your computer, mixers. We have playback, virtual A, and virtual B. I'm sure there's some difference between the two, but I'm not really using a big difference between the two. Let's start with playback. So for playback, let's say I want to set this up so that it is coming from Studio One. So I open Studio One, and the Revelator has to be my interface, which is usually fine. Let's say I want the synth to go into one of the inputs. So input 2. These were when I recorded with my 1810C by PreSonus, so they were all input 3. I was going direct with guitar on these. But I wanted to stream kind of going over some bass stuff. So I have this plugged in. This is input 2. And to get it to route to the Revelator interface and thus to Streamlabs or wherever I'm doing this. I'm recording this whole demo actually in Streamlabs just to show the customization of it. So I'm going to go to Options, Audio Setup. My audio device is the Revelator. Go to Song Setup. And the main, we're just going to do the main because I'm not doing a Q mix or anything. You can set it up for playback, virtual output A, or virtual output B, and they're all in stereo. I am pretty sure I'm having everything down mixed to mono in Streamlabs because I've had weird issues with Streamlabs specifically, but that's how it is. So I could change that to virtual output A or B. I'm going to keep it on playback for now. So then we can open up the software again. And if I hit play, there it is. You can hear the Studio One. So I'm going to rename that Studio One. The others, let's say I want to have a guest on the podcast or in the live stream, and I think Zoom might be the easiest way to do that. So I have Zoom opened up. I'm going to go to my audio settings, sound settings. Oh, I was in there pretty recently, huh? So I have my sound settings open. My output device right now is output to B. So any sound on the computer in general, apparently it's going to be going to output B. That's how I have it set. My input is the Revelator 1 and 2. My microphone is clearly working. But I'm going to go to Advanced Sound Options. And this is where I have the different, see that keeps popping up over there. This is where I have the different devices that I can control where I can control the output. I don't know why Google Chrome is on here first things first. I'm pretty sure it's because something else is controlling Chrome's audio. And that's probably just the system default. So if I only want, I'm going to change this to A. I'm making changes on the fly. So now the default sound system, and that's going to include from Chrome, it's going to go through output A. So I'm going to move that to the side, and I'm going to say system sound. And then I have a guest on the podcast, let's say. Maybe I'm using Discord, maybe not, but let's say I'm using Zoom. So then I have the Zoom going to audio B, and that is this channel right here. I don't have anybody in Zoom, so you're not going to be able to hear it, but I'm going to call this Zoom. And this is the first step into getting a stream that you have more where you have more control over the audio. A lot of times in streams, and the way I previously had to do them is any sound setting in the entire system. Like I could do a loop back or virtual A/B, but that would take all the sound in the computer. I didn't want that. I didn't want all of the computer sound to come in that way. Um, so, uh, you have an accidental notification or a video starts playing in another tab or a tab at all, and you didn't want that in your stream. Too bad, it's in your stream now. That sucks. Get a FaceTime call or something. You can just have that muted. You can still hear it in your mix, which I'm about to get into, but it doesn't have to go to the stream because you have two stream mixes. You have stream mix A and stream mix B. I've only used one stream mix, but I have used separate stream and headphone mixes. So right now I have the stream mix A is set. That's what I'm hearing in my ears. If I want to hear something completely different, I can just go into my headphones so I can monitor stuff. Let me give you a scenario. I'm recording a podcast with Joan, and in this podcast, we want to play audio clips during the show, right into Squadcaster or whatever we're using. And we have a bit of a problem because I need to make sure I can hear Joe. I need to make sure that the software can hear me through my vocal mic and hear the audio clips I'm playing. Let's say I'm playing them through Studio One or iTunes. I want to project and be able to project and mix myself, iTunes, and maybe Studio One through into Squadcaster. I want that to be my audio file. That's just going to be easier than adding things in post. I also want Joe to hear them, and that's another reason it's important that it's all part of the mix. However, I need to hear Joe and all those audio files, but I don't want to project Joe back into the software because then there would be an echo effect. At best, for something I'm just going to be editing in post, I can kind of fix it. But during a live stream, you can't really fix it. People will hear Joan twice. You don't want that. So I have a separate headphone mix where I have, let's say, the system sound up because that's where, the Zoom sound up because that's where Joe's going to be. And Studio One is up. Both my vocals and my synth are up. And I have my stream mix A, which is what I could actually send into Squadcaster. So I know that might be a little bit confusing, but it's just the same place you go. Like when you pick your microphone, you would pick virtual mix A or virtual mix B. There you go. And I can turn up the zoom. I turn down the zoom in the mix, but everything else I want to hear, the Studio One, everything. And then my main mix, I have Joan turned up. So I'm hearing Joe, but Joe's not hearing Joe. I hope that makes sense. It's actually, it saved my hide in the most recent episode of the podcast, and I think it's really neat. But let's talk about some of the other things we have going on here. You can have it in mono. I don't really want it in mono. You can control your headphone volume. You can control your output volume, and you can control your blend between your headphones and your monitoring, which I usually just keep at 50-50. It doesn't matter very much to me. But let's talk about the effects, because that's another cool part about the software. So you saw that there's this little batch of effects right here, but you can have a lot more control over them, and you can like swap out different modules. So you click on these three lines with the dots here or up here to toggle into this. And then you click on the module you want to control. You can turn it off. And I don't know if you can hear much of a difference, and you can turn it back on. Same with the gate, you can turn it off, you can hear the big difference, and you can turn it back on. And you can actually move this wherever you want it, and you can see it changing in the little threshold. So you can use it in kind of a more visual way. And I don't know, that could be helpful. It's helpful to me. It's usually how I'm used to working with gates. You can turn the expander on and off. I'm not going to turn it on. It's going to, I'll turn it on. Just you'd have to fine tune it a little bit if you don't want it to be like I like it. Yeah, I think the default settings are really strong in this device, and I don't really want to screw around with them too much. Compression is this is the tube compressor, but you also have a standard and a FET. So that's what the standard looks like, and that's kind of what it sounds like. You can change your ratio. You can really fine tune that ratio actually. Control your attack and release and your gain. You also have the FET compressor, which you can turn on, change your ratio there, input, output, attack, etc. I'm going to go back to the tube compressor. I prefer it. I really like it. No, I just wish that this moved. Maybe it will. No, you can change the limiter, compressor, whatever. And then we have the EQ, a couple types of EQ over here. We have standard, passive, and vintage. This is standard, and this is very visual. If you're particularly visual, and you can pick up different parts of the mids, and you can really boost them, cut them. You can move them around wherever you want. It's helpful if it's on, so you can really hear it. So you can boost the low mids or cut them. You can really boost those high mids, which is sure to give your listeners ear fatigue. Don't super duper recommend it. Or you can just make it really flat, you know? Yeah, so then we have the limiter, which is you just control the number. It's nothing so exciting about that. But I'm going to move this over to the side here a little bit because the edge of my screen gets cut off when I do these shares. It's the voice. This is the fun part. This is the part you're probably not going to use a ton, but you're going to have fun with it. There are different vocal effects. Here's the doubler. You can control the lows. You can control the width. You can control the wet dry. Doubler. Detuner. It's going to make me sound a little bit like I'm in the shadows of an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
In the shadows of an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, I accidentally turned the mix down instead of up. I didn't have any coffee this morning. And you can really fine tune that. It always is going to sound a little unnatural. I don't think, like, you. I feel like I sound like Elizabeth Holmes right now. If you know, you know. And if you don't know.
Oh, what rock have you been living under, and can I join you? Vocoder. This is going to make you sound a Daft Punk song. You can change the frequency. And you can change the type. So this is real. It's easy to clip on this one. And this is noise. Noise. When you feel like your vocal fry isn't annoying enough. And then ring modulator, because who doesn't want a ring mod? I don't hate this on vocals. I don't like it either. But it's cool to have, and I could really imagine people having fun with this, especially in like gaming streams. You can change distortion. Filters. So this one's kind of cool. This as you move this one here, it does kind of a weird artifact, but it doesn't have that the rest of the time. This is another filter I probably won't super duper use. Get it? But the one I do kind of like to use is delay. And you can't really so let me move myself over. You can see right there that it's stereo. That's kind of neat. You change the time so it's just really slapbacky, extremely slapbacky. Get the feedback down. This is probably nice enough if you're singing. But I'm just going to turn it off. I move myself back over here where I belong. But yeah, let's kind of go over just how everything kind of sounds when it's all together. I have a track in Studio One. I'm gonna hit play, and then I have my synth. I might turn up a little bit. So what, like, how I was using it the other day was I had a live stream going. I had my instrument plugged into input B synth, and I was just kind of playing around with some different synth sounds and different synth bass kind of lines for a song I'm working on. So let's just see how that all sounds. Oh, all right. That's yeah, pretty much how I was using it. And I had my other screen going, and it's all controlled through Streamlabs for the most part. All the video stuff controlling through Streamlabs. I literally just have the audio set up so that my microphone, my audio input, is the virtual stream of the Stream Mix A. You could do Stream Mix B. If you want a completely different Stream Mix, but it's all going to be these same. Um, it's all going to be these same modules. So if you had one mix where you're like, okay, I want to just bounce between the mix and sometimes have this turned up or not, I don't think that's easier. The easiest way, I think, to control this software is if you have an iPad, there's a companion app and you can control everything from there. Before I was using the companion app, when I was just trying to get levels and get everything figured out, I was personally getting a little bit frustrated because I just didn't have enough screen space, and I have two screens. But I wanted to be able to monitor what's happening in Streamlabs. I want to be able to monitor what's happening in the Revelator software, and then I'm probably having to click around on other things. Well, there you have it. That was a quick look at the Revelator io24 by PreSonus. Thank you again to them so much for sending that to me. I don't know if they expected a demo, but I gave them one anyway. But I've done a few live streams with it already. I've used it while recording the podcast. And once you get the hang of it, and I hope this video helps you get the hang of it quickly, it's a really powerful tool. It's great. It's because it's just a standard interface if you want to use it like that, but you can also have so much more control over streaming than you have with almost any other interface I've ever seen. I think I mentioned this in the video, but I used to just have to rely on one loopback channel that was all my computer audio, and it was not easy, frankly. So I'm really pleased with this so far. Just the amount of control I have over mixing is a game changer. I think it sounds really good. I love having the different options for different kinds of effects. It's just really neat. So thank you again, PreSonus. I recommend it. I like PreSonus. I like their preamps. I think they're generally really clear, transparent, and have a lot of headroom, which is, I think, what I personally want in a preamp. But if you are interested in buying this or anything else in the world, please consider using the affiliate link in the video description. We have them for Sweetwater and a few others. I really love the Sweetwater one. It has a pretty good payback for me. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So whatever you buy from those affiliate links, I do get to share a small portion of that sale. And again, doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just a great way to support the channel, doing things you're probably going to do anyway. So I can do things like buy new cameras, pay for the software that I use to make the channel possible. So I really appreciate everyone who does that. And if you don't want to do that, please like, comment, subscribe, tell your favorite brands about us, check us out on social media, Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. And until next time, keep doing whatever you're doing that's giving you that glow. I love you, and thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. My name is Emily. Goodbye.